All right, so we will go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. And this is the Students at Work First Responder Industry Spotlight Day. And this session is being presented by the Wilmington Fire Department. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Michael Lee, who will tell you everything you want to know about being a firefighter.
Thank you, Ms. Robin. Hello, my name is Michael Lee. I'm with the Wilmington Fire Department. I wish I could be there in person, but we're doing Zoom for right now. Please, any questions that you have at the end, make sure you ask them. But again, my name is Michael Lee with the Wilmington Fire Department. I've been with the Wilmington Fire Department now going on 10 years in May. I'm 34 years old, even though I got a whole lot of gray. I started graying really early. But, you know, the Wilmington Fire Department is a great place to work. I'm actually from Wilmington, so it's great to work in the same community that I grew up in. Being able to be a servant to a lot of the people that I've known for a very, very long time. Within the Wilmington Fire Department, my rank is a master firefighter. So on the fire truck, my job was to drive the fire truck. A few years ago, long story short, me and my wife decided to have a child, and I was like, man, it'd be great to be home every night, you know, just to help out with the kid and everything. So I went over to the fire marshal's office, where I'm a deputy fire marshal, where I conduct code enforcement and also investigations. I'm also involved with the hiring committee. I'm the chairperson for our diversity committee and recruitment. I'm also part of the promotional committee, and I help organize the first junior fire academy here in Wilmington Fire Department, where we're able to take middle schoolers and high school kids and pretty much show them what we do. Let us see all the fun stuff that the fire department has to offer. So, you know, we're going to start out by just talking about a little bit of the history of the Wilmington Fire Department. The Wilmington Fire Department dates back all the way to 1846. That's when the first volunteer company was organized. Back in 1867, 6 of those fire companies protected the coastal city at the time, also known as the port city because of the port that we have. 4 of those companies were named Cape Fear, Atlantic, Vigilant, and Fire King. So in our recruit academy, we always separate our academy into 4 groups, and each one of them has those names and they have to go and learn the history about each company. The department was inaugurated on December 1st, 1897 as an actual paid full-time department. Back then, you know, they had steam engines and horses, horses that pull steam engines instead of the fire trucks that we have now. And that's how they're able to get around from fire to fire. We actually still have a lot of those fire stations here in the city. We don't use them as fire stations, but they've been renovated as different like event spaces, and different businesses have opened them up, but you still see the outside working and the framing to realize that it is actually a fire station. So today we have over 180 firefighters manning 15 fire apparatuses. Those apparatuses consist of 10 engines, 4 trucks, and 1 rescue. And we actually have 9 fire stations. We actually have one being built soon to bring us back to 10, but as of right now, we just have 9. So before we start talking about a little bit more of Wilmington Fire Department and what it means to be a firefighter, I'm gonna have him play a short video of some things that we see and that we do in the Wilmington Fire Department. All right, perfect. Thank you so much for playing that video. So I'm sure y'all saw a whole lot going on in that video. That video was made up of actual fire calls, accidents, and then training that we've been on. We implemented all that together because we couldn't do the job on the street if we didn't properly train. Also in that video, you saw a couple of things. You saw the firebolt. You saw some guys in some weird plastic suits. You saw people hanging from buildings from ropes. Those are our 3 special teams. So the first one we'll talk about is our actual Marine and dive team. So Wilmington's kind of unique. We have a river that runs down in the middle of the downtown area. And sometimes we do have to do rescues and recoveries in that river. To get a good example of how dark it is in that river, the best thing I tell you to do is to take your hand and put it over your eyes so you can't see anything. And that's how dark it is once you go about 3 or 4 feet below the surface of the river. So it takes a lot of training for our dive team. One, to get certified to be on a dive team, but to continue to train so that we can be adequate at our job. They also run up the Cape Fear River to multiple counties. Then also they're able to go up down to Carolina Beach and around to Riceville Beach to help with multiple agencies when it comes to any kind of water rescue that they help with there. Actually, a couple of days ago, our fireboat with the hospital, the county fire, and other municipalities around did a drill where they had to rescue about 20 people outside at the beach. So it was a good little drill to do just to keep them up on what they should be doing. I was telling Miss Robin a couple of minutes ago that a few days ago, we had someone that they believed to be under the influence was driving downtown, actually fled police and went driving straight down a road and straight into the river. Fortunately, they actually got themselves out, but a few days later, I was down there and they were actually pulling the vehicle outside of the river. So we do a lot of calls when it comes to actually our Marine and dive team. Another team is that you saw with the plastic suits. That's our hazmat team. Their job is to pretty much deal with any kind of hazardous material, whether it's a liquid flammable, any kind of gas, any kind of chemical that can be hazardous to the community or cause any kind of fire. The cool thing about our hazmat team is that it is state funded and they are part of a regional rescue team. So they actually service multiple counties in the area. So at any point in time, they can get called out to go 5 or 6 counties over to help with a hazmat emergency there. And then we have our ropes team, our high angles team. Their job is to help whenever any kind of high angle rescue. Earlier I said that we have the ports. So I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with how state ports look, but they have these huge cranes that are in the air, and they actually have to go train off those cranes. I believe it was Iron Man 3 was filmed here in Wilmington, and you see him flying through over the river under these cranes. Those are the cranes that they have to train off of because they have to be able to get anyone off the highest point in Wilmington, and that's what it is. They also do confined space. So if there was some kind of collapse, they would be able to maneuver in between spaces to rescue people. They also go to Las Vegas once a year to do extrication on big tanks. So a major collision came and there was a tank on top of a car. They have all these cool airbags and tools in order to inflate them to get them off of the vehicles or anything like that. These are all great teams to be a part of. I will be completely transparent with you. I am not on any of those teams. I do not swim. It's way too dark and scary for me. Down there, things touch you. You don't touch them. The ropes team, I am not about heights at all. And when it comes to hazmat, I'm very fearful of anything that can burn me that I cannot see. So I decided to go the route of an investigator, not a special team, but it takes special knowledge and also a lot of efforts to go to a scene that's completely burned up and be able to walk in there, dig it out, and find out exactly what started the fire. It can be something as big as a refrigerator that caused a fire, or something as small as a cigarette being left in the windowsill that caused a fire. So that's where my specialties come into, and also talking to people. So those are 3 of the special teams that we have. If you have any questions about those, please remember those so y'all can ask me about it at the end of our conversation. So what kind of calls do we run? In the video, you saw structure fires, you saw accidents. I'm not sure you saw any medical calls, but in Wilmington, we run a lot of calls. I will go ahead and break your heart and let you know that only 4% of our calls are actual fire calls. 96% of those calls deal with motor vehicle accidents and medical emergencies. So all of us are EMT basics. Some are intermediates and some are actually paramedics, but majority of us to have the job have to be a basic. So we do everything from someone hurt their finger to someone's about to have a baby to someone has cut their arm with a tool by cutting the grass. We do all those things and we run all those calls. Now, a lot of our training is geared towards actual firefighting because that's the most dangerous thing that we do. And that's the one thing that regardless of what scene that we're on, we're in charge of that scene and we're the only one that can do the actual job. On accidents, we have police officers to help out. On medical calls, we have EMTs to help out. But when it comes to fire, we're the only ones that can go in and do the job. So a lot of our training goes into that. We run tens of thousands of calls every year here in Wilmington, North Carolina. Even though it's a small place, it's growing and it's very, very dense in population. So we run a lot of calls throughout the year. Let's talk about a little bit what it takes to be a firefighter. Well, the first thing it takes to be a firefighter is doing what you're doing right now, being in school. School does not stop when you become a firefighter. We have to do training throughout the entire year. We have to have over 200 hours of training per year and over 180 hours of physical PT, working out every year. So the schooling does not stop. To be hired with the Wilmington Fire Department, you have to be 18 years of age, have a driver's license with a clean record, and that's pretty much it. So that's the good thing about our department is that you go through a 6-month academy where you're paid, and we teach you everything you need to know about firefighting to the best of our ability in those 6 months. And then you learn everything else while you're on the fire truck, which is really good because some departments, you have to have all these things beforehand, but it's kind of hard to do, especially if you're coming out of high school, or in some cases, people already have families, so they can't really take off from work for 6 months to go to schooling to get the training that they need. So we actually pay them a full salary while they go through our academy. It's really important to have be physically fit. Now, when it comes to physical fitness, I don't think that's fair to say that physical fitness looks like a certain thing. Everyone can't be 180 pounds and chiseled. I'm 6'2" and I'm 220. I tell people some people move things and some people run. I'm a person that moves things. I'm not a runner. I move things. So physical fitness is more than just looking the part, but actually being healthy. We have our own safety and wellness division that helps us when it comes to physical health. They make sure our physicals that we get done yearly are up to standard. They also put us through a job assessment every year called the JPAT, which we're timed to do things such as drag a dummy, go up flights of stairs, pull hoses up, drag hose, ladders, all that kind of good stuff to make sure we're physically fit. But they also make sure that we're mentally fit as well. As being a firefighter or any first responder, you deal with a lot of traumatic situations and you do a lot of traumatic scenes. So one of the things that we've adopted is a program called Pause for People, where they bring the dogs to the station and we help train the dogs to be able to go and work with people that have had traumatic experiences. One of the benefits is that if one of the firefighters adopt the dogs, the dog actually gets to come and live at the station with us, which is pretty cool. Not everyone is comfortable talking to people about their feelings or to a chaplain after a bad call, but what's better than having a puppy at the station just to kind of give you a feel good for a little while, after experiencing something that can be detrimental to you. Another part of, wanting to be a firefighter is your ability to be able to listen and to be humble. A lot of times it's hard to have someone telling you exactly what to do every step of the way. But when you're in situations that firefighters in, sometimes you have to be told what to do, and you can't really lean upon your own understanding of things, especially starting out really young. You have to take that time to listen. And sometimes the commands don't come out as friendly as you would like them to be. But I guess because sometimes you're in very, real high tense situations, sometimes orders are shouted. So to be able to take that, not take it personally, but to give me to go forward. You also have to have the ability to, I don't want to say neglect, but to have to share your life with the fire department. We work 10 days a month, 24-hour shifts. So, I know you all are young now, but as you get older, you may have families and you miss a whole lot. You miss anniversaries, you miss birthdays, you miss holidays, you miss your cousin coming in town and wanting to hang out. You miss those things because you're obligated to work those 10 days a month. I'm a firm believer that when I'm off, I'm 100% dedicated to my family. I am not a firefighter. I am just Mike Lee on my days off. It goes to my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sisters, my son, and my wife. That's what that time goes to, so that they never feel that they're being neglected because of my career. But they also understand in turn is that when I'm at work those 10 days, I have to be there. I have to be completely committed to the job. I can't come to work bearing anything from home because I'm not going to do a good job at the station. And the same way, vice versa, things I may deal with at the fire station or on the call, I can't take it back home to my family. I definitely have to separate the two. So being able to do that is also very important. One of the biggest things of being a firefighter is being a team player and understanding teamwork. Everything that we do involves us doing it together. There's almost no task on a fire scene that we deal with that takes only one person. You may have seen some people pulling hose by themselves. Yes, that's something that can be pulled, by yourself. But once you start going in any kind of hazard situation, you're there with someone and you depend on that person to possibly save your life and pull you out of the fire. So everything has to be teamwork. So those are some things you may want to start working on now if you ever think about being a firefighter. Is understanding that schoolwork is very important. Understanding teamwork plays a big part, and there's sacrifices that come with our job that you may not have in other jobs. Well, let me not say that, because almost every career I think has sacrifices. My wife, she's a school teacher. She teaches 5th grade. She's been doing that for almost 10 years as well. And a lot of sacrifices play in part when it comes to our family because, with everything with schoolwork now, it's so much different. When it was virtual and not virtual, it was a lot going on. So every career has different sacrifices. So that's something you should get used to regardless. But just know when it comes to the fire service, those sacrifices seem to play a little bit harder because you're gone more times than a lot of other careers. I enjoy being a firefighter. I miss riding a fire truck. I'm actually going through a process now so that I can become a lieutenant. And once I become a lieutenant, I'll be back to on the fire truck, have my own little crew. Until then, I keep doing investigations, but I really do enjoy. But that's just a little bit about the fire service. I would love to answer any questions now. I know we have quite a bit of time left. I still have things that we can definitely talk about, but I just want to make sure that we answer any questions possibly. All right, so one of the questions is, let me pull my chat up. All right, when someone calls 911, it seems like firefighters respond to many of them, even if someone is calling for an ambulance. How is it determined which calls you all respond to? That's a really, really good question. Easy way to answer that question. So we have a computer system, the 911 dispatch, and they have different codes. So certain medical situations at a certain level of, if it's minimum life-threatening issues, and we may not go to it. If it's anything that is someone losing life, we go to it, and we're dispatched through the 911 center. So if you call 911 stating that, my mom fell and she broke her leg, they're going to dispatch firefighters and also EMS to get there. One, because in most places, there are more fire trucks than there are ambulances, and ambulances are ran short all the time. So we're able to go there, assess them, stabilize them, and then have them ready for when EMS comes to do a further assessment. But pretty much to answer your question directly, it's all what dispatch tells us to go to. They call and say, engine 1, go to this address for this reason, and we just go. That's a really good question. Thank you for that one. So that's, you mentioned the Junior Fire Academy. How does that work and who can participate? Also, do most fire departments offer a similar program? So the first question, so the Junior Fire Academy, when I was in the 5th grade, I was a part of a camp called Cop Camp, where they just pretty much, the whole design of that camp was to get young ones to build a relationship with the police department and also understand what they did. So I spoke to our PIO, our Public Information Officer, about wanting to start something like that here in Wilmington, but I wanted to be more so showing like what firefighters do. So what we did was we came up for 1 week. We did a morning afternoon session where we had them do CPR, learn CPR. They rode the fireboat. They did hazmat. They did some tactical rescue, just things that firefighters do. And it was a really good time. They thoroughly enjoyed it. We're going to do it this summer again. And it's going to be for 2 weeks, 1 week in June and 1 week in July. And anyone from the ages of, I think you have to be at least 8th grade going into high school and higher to participate in the Junior Fire Academy. I do think other departments have them. I think Charlotte has some kind of program like that. It would just have to go in to find out exactly what your particular fire service or fire department has in regards to those programs. All right, when you join the fire department, do you have to know what job or part you want to do, or can you figure that out as you go? For example, can you come in and do the training and then later decide to be a diver? 100%. We actually ask people when they first come into the fire department to just focus on the basics and knowing your job. When you get on with the City of Wilmington Fire Department, we have an 18-month probationary process. We encourage all new people not to do anything within those 18 months. Wait till you are probation, and then you can join those teams. Now, once you get our probation, you start training to join those teams, you can be certified as a diver or hazmat or tactical rescue, and we would love to have you a part of that team. But we do think it's best to learn the basic job before getting involved with those, because those also take a lot of your time. Thank you so much for that question. A cool thing too about the special team is that you get an extra $100 per paycheck if you're on the special team. Does the water rescue team help with ocean rescues? If so, what are those like? Yes, they do. So the way Wilmington's shaped, kind of like my finger right here. So Wilmington, you have the river, you come down, you come back around, you have Riceville Beach. So it's actually about a 30 to 45-minute boat ride for us to get to the actual ocean. But we do help. So if there's a situation where we're a down fire airplane, if there's a large yacht and the beach that they need help with fighting the fires, because our fireboat actually has nozzles to fight fires with. Also, there's a mass rescue event going on at the beach. Just like we talked about a few minutes ago when we did a joint training, they had a mock-up of Fate 20 rescues to do. So if anything like that happens, we definitely run with them to help them out as much as we possibly can. Y'all got some really, really good questions. I appreciate it. It's a little bit easier to dive in the ocean as well. It's a little bit clearer. I don't know why the Cape Fear River is like dark black tea. It's just, it's not fun. Do you ever have too many people apply for the fire department? Do they have to have different classes to take on the amount? Do they have difficult classes to take on the amount of people? Okay, good question as well. All right, so when I applied for Wilmington Fire Department back in 2012, we had over 700 people apply for the job, and we only had 16 positions. As time has gone on, we've had less people apply for the fire department. This year, we actually only had 140 people apply, and we hired 19 people. I will be honest with you, a lot of that is because of the pay. You know, our pay is not that great for what we do. Almost any public servant, I feel, is not paid what they should be paid. But we do have a lot less people applying for the department, I think because of that reason. Usually if we have a class, I think the most we've ever done is about 30, 35. So they all do the classes pretty much together, or they'll separate the class in half, and half will get like the EMT and a couple of fire classes, and the other half will get their all just fire classes, and then they'll switch. And then the second group gets their EMT and some fire classes, and the first group gets all their fire classes. And at the very, very end, they come together for a few classes, and then go up to Charlotte and Gaston College to do like a 4-day training, and it's really, really big, intense drill. So a lot of times that's what ended up going on if we have a whole lot of people. But our number of applicants have definitely gone down. What courses should students take in high school if they think they may be interested in a career as a firefighter? Another great question. See if any high schools around actually have a fire program. We do have an actual high school here in Wilmington that has a fire program. So they're able to get things such as their fire 1 and 2, which go really good on the resume when applying for the fire service. Also, if you're in any kind of CNA classes, getting your CPR certification or your EMT, all those things will help prepare you for the fire service and the training that we do. A lot of departments actually will hire you off the street if you have certifications, and you don't have to go through an academy. With Wilmington, even with all your certifications, you still have to go through the academy and test and pass on the test to get through. That's just so they can confirm that you actually have the knowledge that you say you have through your certificate. But if you're able to get any of those classes beforehand, it'll just make you a better firefighter. What are some of the hardest and best parts about being a firefighter? Ooh, buddy. All right, so let's start with the hardest. The hardest part, like I told you before, is that I'm from Wilmington. I've been here my entire life. So it's been really, really difficult at times going to certain calls with people that I've known, classmates, friends, parents' friends, and seeing certain things can be hard, and it can be mentally draining on you. The best part of being a firefighter, like I've gained so many new friends and even new family members from being in the fire service. It is truly a brotherhood. I know right now, if something was to happen to me, I could allow them a call and they'd come right now to help. It also allows me to take care of my family with job security. It's a really iffy time right now with everything going on. And I'm pretty sure some people wonder, will it affect their jobs? Usually firefighting, police officers, EMTs, teachers, they aren't laid off. So it's really good to have that job security. And also the fact that I get to spend a lot of time with my family is probably the best part for me. Do they have women firefighters? Do we? Yes, we do. We have some bomb female firefighters. They are hardworking, they're strong, they're fun. They can do the job just as well as any man can. I am a big advocate for women in the fire service. I actually go out to try to find more women in the fire service. Out of our 180 firefighters, I think we have 6 or 7 female firefighters. So we're definitely trying to do better with that. But I think women firefighters are amazing. I think they have better bedside manner than men. And a lot of times women would prefer to deal with women on medical calls. So yes, having female firefighters are great. What is the difference between a professional fire department and a volunteer fire department? Very good question. So professional fire department is 100% paid. I'm paid if I go out, if I don't go out. I'm completely paid. I get a paycheck every 2 weeks. When it comes to volunteer fire department, you have some that are completely volunteer. Usually they're people that just live in the area and they don't have the fire protection, so they volunteer their time to protect the community in case something happens. And then you have some that actually get paid, but they only get paid when they go out to calls. So if they go on a call for 3 or 4 hours, they're paid just for those 3 or 4 hours. So that's pretty much the difference between the volunteer and the professional. Thank you for that question. Do you also have the fire poles you slide down like in the movies? We have one station that's at headquarters that has the poles. Those poles are over 100 years old. They have to polish them, they have to sign them. So yes, we still have them in one station, but that's the only station we have them in. They actually don't get used as much as you think they do, but back in the day, they definitely got used a lot more. What is some of the interpersonal skills and traits that you need to have to be a firefighter? So I would say a big thing for me is being able to be empathetic and show compassion for people. Whenever we're going to anything in the fire service, whether it's fire, medical, car accident, you're dealing with someone on their worst day. And you have to be able to be there for that person, understand what they're going through, not judge, not scold, but just to be there for them. So if you don't have, to me, that compassion and empathy, I don't think that you should be in that fire service. Every call I go on or what's going on, I was dedicated to that call. The call before didn't affect the second call, and the second call didn't affect the third call. You know, they all deserve to have that same level of care, regardless. Also, communication. You live with people at the fire station, and it's important to be able to communicate with them as you would communicate with family, because sometimes issues come up, things go wrong, sometimes things are misinterpreted. So definitely be able to have that communication with each other and also people in the field. I think those are all very important skills to have. And yeah, sometimes we all don't get along, but it doesn't last long. We like to have a good time. But all right, how do you eat when you're on a 24-hour shift? So I'm gonna tell you right now, ladies, if guys tell you they don't cook, they're not telling you the truth. Some of the best cooks I've met have been men at the fire service. The misconception that they have is that our food is paid for. We have to pay for our own food. We come in together, man, we discuss, hey, what are we eating for lunch? And then we come with a grocery list, someone pays for it, and we pay them back. The same thing for dinner. So majority of the time that we cook, the fire service has changed to more of a healthier lifestyle. So a lot of time our food, is like a protein and a vegetable. It's not too heavy. But back in the day, oh my goodness gracious, like hamburger and gravy and these big old pots of like chicken and rice and all that kind of good stuff. So that's how we do our 24-hour shifts. Or if really, really nice, our partners will bring us something to eat too. Were you disappointed at all in what you actually do compared to what you thought working in the fire department would be? Not what I do. I think sometimes, to be honest with you, when you hear about the fire service, you hear about brotherhood. And I told you about that word before. I had to learn because I was very young when I came in, with 20, 25, 24. I was a little bit younger, so a little naive to certain things, to understand that, the whole thing isn't a brotherhood, but you develop relationships with people that makes you brothers. That was the only disappointing thing for me when it came to it, is that, you're still going to have people that you just don't, see eye to eye with. And it can be kind of hard living with someone for that amount of time and working with them. But when it comes to the actual job, I have not been disappointed at all. It's the only one of the only jobs that you wake up every single day and you just like, I have no idea what's going to happen today. And usually it's the craziest thing that ends up happening. So when it comes to my job, no, I'm not disappointed. I do miss it though. By me being in code enforcement, I go to people's jobs and tell them what to fix, and they don't fix it, I have to find them. So I'm not the most liked person right now. But on the fire truck, people love me. But thank you for that question as well. What's some more questions that we have popping up? Does your family come to see you at work sometimes? They used to. So my wife is not from here. She's from a different, she's from near Fayetteville area. So when we first got married, when she moved down here, she would pop up at the station all the time just to hang out. I think it got kind of old to her. So she kind of like, I'm just gonna stay home. And then when my son was first born, she would bring him to the fire department to see me sometimes. But then when I went to the fire marshal's office, I worked 410, so I'm home every single night. So I just see him when I get home. But I'm pretty sure when I get to the fire truck, they'd be there often. My son loves the fire truck. He says he wants to be a firefighter. I'm trying to talk him out of it, but he definitely loves it. So it'd be good to have him. But a lot of times, special holidays and special events, different stations will have a big dinner and they invite all the families over and they'll sit down just to have that family time that they seem to miss because they're at the station. But the fire department is very, very family oriented, and they encourage you to have your family around as much as possible. They actually have like a woman, wives and partners, like a Facebook page on Facebook. That way they can all like get together. So sometimes they go and, eat lunch together, or they have like baby showers for each other, or just to kind of talk to each other, because they're the only ones that really understand what it's like being with or married to a firefighter. Got any more questions for me? Did any of the teachers or any of the people on the Zoom have any questions when it comes to firefighters or firefighting or the Wilmington Fire Department? I'm not sure if any of you have actually been to Wilmington. It's a pretty cool place to visit. Like I said, we have the beach. People love the beach. Like right now, I think it's like 80 degrees outside. I still won't go to the beach right now because the water's still pretty cold. But it's a really cool place to visit. Pretty cool little spot. I actually wanted to go to Charlotte to be a firefighter. I see that you all are in Kannapolis, which is not too far from there as well. Oh, thank you for service. We are grateful for firefighters. We appreciate y'all. We've never experienced not having love from the community. People usually love firefighters because usually we're there to fix a situation. So we appreciate what you all give to us. We get a lot of people to come by stations and drop off food, come to visit. We had one little program where they actually could adopt a firefighter and they would go and purchase gift for them. So community is very, very good when it comes to the fire service, and we appreciate all of you for doing that. So I definitely encourage you, go to your local fire stations, get to know them, be there for them, build those relationships. Usually most of them, they love it. They love to feel the appreciation, because that's what makes it worthwhile. Like I said, we don't get paid much, but the simple thank yous and we're thinking about you and we care, they go a long way. Any of y'all want to be a firefighter? Also, on the video, I'm not sure if Ms. Robin can or not. At the very end, they shared our social media on Instagram and Facebook. I'm pretty sure you all have Instagram and Facebook. Definitely go and follow. Our PIO, she does a great job when it comes to doing like TikTok videos and reels about fire safety, making it fun. Anything that's going on in our community, it's just entertaining. So I would definitely go on there as well. If any of you are looking to get into the fire service and looking for a mentor of any kind of way, please get in contact with your teacher, and she can contact Ms. Robin to get my information in my email. And I would love to talk to you more about the fire service and help you in any capacity I can to help you reach your goals that you want to. And just a little encouragement to you. I think you all are middle schoolers. I was at middle school at some point. Don't feel too much pressure to know exactly what you want to do right now. It changes so much. I was in school initially for dental hygiene. Then I wanted to be a pediatrician. I did shoe repair. I was a meat cutter. I drove school buses. I substitute teach, worked at a daycare. I've done all these things and ended up being a firefighter. So don't feel so much pressure to know exactly what you want to do right now. Kind of enjoy the ride, but just make sure you're making good decisions, because decisions we make now can either make our future easy or it can make it a little difficult. But, really just enjoy the ride, enjoy being your age, and take your time to find out what you want to do.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Michael, for your time, your presentation, and answering all the questions. It was really enjoyable.
Thank you.
So we're right at the last few seconds of our meeting today. Teachers, thank you so much for logging on and bringing your classes. And don't forget to fill out the survey with your feedback, so we can go ahead and have that as we plan for next year. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you guys later.
Thank you all. Take care.